Let me show you what I like to do on a daily basis to keep my home clean. And if you follow this checklist, you can do it too, in most cases, in less than 30 minutes. And thanks to Shark for sponsoring a portion of today's video. The first thing on the daily checklist is to make your bed in the morning. Now, I will be the first one to say that when I was younger, I just didn't see the point in making my bed. My mom would always tell me to do it, and I was always just like, what's the point? We're gonna get in it later, it's gonna be messy again, why even waste the time? But as I've gotten older, I've really seen the wisdom, and my mom was always right. Shout out to moms everywhere, you all know what's up. But the fact is that when you make your bed in the morning, not only is it just more peaceful in your bedroom, it's more put together, not so chaotic, so that way when you come in later, everything's good to go and you're ready to jump into a nicely made bed. But really, it sets your day up for success, because when you get that easy win first thing in the morning and get something done, I've just found that it helps me stay more motivated throughout the day and just get more done as I'm working. Now, a quick pro tip if you are a super hot sleeper like myself is before you make the bed, it's always a good idea to pull the covers back and let everything air out. The reason being is if you trap that moisture inside, it can just lead to some stinky odors in your bedroom. So what I like to do is pull it back, go get ready for the day, and then come back and make the bed, and you should be good to go. To put you at ease with this task, I just want to mention that it does not have to be a 5-star hotel perfectly made bed. As long as you're just pulling up the covers and just tidying things up a bit, that is a great place to start, and then from there, you can really build some momentum. The next 4 items on the checklist are all in our kitchen. Now, I will say, usually I like to do these towards the end of the day, kind of like a closing shift, if you will, and preferably after dinner. That way everything is nice and clean in the kitchen and ready for the next day. So the first thing I like to start with is just the dishes. When it comes to this task, it's pretty simple once you keep up on it, and it's up to you whether you want to hand wash and let things air dry, or even use a dishwasher if you have one of those. But I will say, if you do use the dishwasher, a good rule of thumb is to always load it up at the end of the day and run it. That way when you wake up in the morning, all the dishes are nice and clean and ready to go. There is nothing worse than in the morning when you're trying to just keep everything nice and tidy, or you need something, you open the dishwasher and it's full of dirty dishes, and then it just makes a bigger job because you gotta wash it and get it all ready. So just run it at night so that way everything stays nice and clean. The other thing I always like to mention when it comes to dishes is the 2-minute rule. And I try to live by this as much as possible, but that's essentially if the task takes less than 2 minutes, just do it. So if I have a dirty coffee cup or plate, rather than putting it in the sink, I'll just give it a quick wash or put it in the dishwasher. That way it doesn't sit there and potentially build up and make a bigger mess. The next item on the checklist is to clean the countertops. Now, if you have kids in the house, you already know things like crumbs, sticky food, and fingerprints really start to build up on our countertops, so it's a must to wipe them down every single day. And sometimes, I'll be honest, I'm doing it multiple times a day after lunch and things just to keep up with it. That way it doesn't really start to build up, and then I have to do a deep clean. Now, when it comes to this task though, don't worry about getting underneath everything or moving things around in your countertops. Really, you want to focus on those high traffic areas like where you eat food and where people are kind of making sandwiches or preparing things or even touching all the time. That way it doesn't build up and it doesn't start to get dirty. To keep it as simple as possible, I like to always have a spray bottle mixed up with about a teaspoon of Blue Dawn dish soap and some water underneath my sink. That way I can grab it and spray the countertops down quick. And I do like to use a 2-towel system here. If you've watched the channel before, you already know this, but a damp towel to rinse the surface and then a dry, clean microfiber towel just to dry and buff everything and make it look nice and shiny. If you have really glossy countertops like a granite or a quartz, if you leave that moisture behind, what's gonna happen is you're gonna have watermarks and just swirl marks and things. So just by taking a few extra seconds to give it a quick dry and buff, your countertops will look great. Something I want to mention about this checklist is it's not meant to overwhelm you with a million things you need to do. In fact, everything we're cleaning in the video today should not be a deep clean. Now, if you do need help deep cleaning your oven, your sink, your countertops, really anywhere else in your house, definitely check the channel, scan this little QR code on the checklist, and that will bring you to those specific videos that you need. Really, my goal with this checklist is more to just give you a starting point of some areas where you can start to build these habits. And when you do these things on a regular basis, it can really help keep your home nice and clean and tidy. I know for myself, this has helped a ton, and my wife and I work at this together. Now, I know every house will be a little bit different, so on the back, I also put together a full week worth of check boxes here. That way you can kind of adapt the list to your needs maybe you don't have to do every one of these things every single day, but that way you can keep track of it here. We even like to put this on our fridge, that way we can kind of make it a family activity and everyone can have a part in keeping the house clean. Now, if you want to get your hands on this checklist, it's now available over on my website, letscleanitup.com, or check the link down in the description and get your very own. The next item on the checklist is to clean the sink. Now, if I'm really short on time, if it's just a crazy busy day, I'll just make sure to at least give it a really good rinse. Now, if I do have a little extra time, I'll spray a little soap on there like Dawn Power Wash or even just dish soap, and then come through, give it a quick scrub and rinse as well. Really, the reason you want to do this daily is we don't want to leave any food or residue behind on the sink, because that's going to build up and just get harder to clean in the future, or because it's food, it can kind of start to rot and decay and then just start to sink. And even for myself, what I like to do is just run the garbage disposal at least once a day as well while I'm doing this. That way there's nothing left behind and I don't have any funky odors. The next item on the checklist is to give your stovetop a quick wipe down. And what's nice about this is you can use the same process that we used on the countertops. It works really well. Now, the reason I wanted to include this on the checklist is oftentimes it's forgotten. And again, anytime we're dealing with food, if there's any residue left behind, not only will it dry sticky and be harder to clean later, but also it can create a stinky odor in your kitchen. So by just taking a few extra minutes every day and giving it a wipe down after you're done cooking, you prevent this. The next item on the checklist is to do a load of laundry. And this obviously depends on your household, really how many people you have there, and also your schedule. But I know for us, by just doing one load a day, it really helps us stay up on the laundry. That way it doesn't grow into this giant pile, this mountain of laundry that's super overwhelming. And then usually you have to dedicate a full day to get it done. So by just doing a little bit each day, we stay on top of that and complete this task. The next item is to vacuum the floors. Now for this, I do like to use a stick vacuum just because they're so easy to grab and go and you can just start cleaning. And that's where the Shark Power Detect cordless vacuum comes in super handy. Now, I've personally had this exact vacuum since the beginning of the year. You may have even seen it in some of my videos already, and I use it every single day and absolutely love it. Now, something I noticed right away when I started using this vacuum is that it's very powerful. In fact, something that gives it that ultra powerful clean is the nozzle. Now, this is designed with 2 brush rolls to not only pick up a ton of dirt and debris around your house, but it also allows you to clean any type of floor surface. You can go from wall-to-wall carpet to your rugs to your hard surface, and you don't have to change the nozzle, which someone who's used a lot of different stick vacs over the years, changing out those nozzles and heads and things is just very cumbersome and a lot of work, and this one, you don't have to do that. I also like that it takes the guesswork out of vacuuming with the Power Detect intelligence, because it will auto boost power to help increase the cleaning performance depending on what direction you're going in, the type of floor you're vacuuming, or even if you're next to a corner or an edge, and that way it will boost the power and even help you vacuum up that dirt you can't see with your eyes. And the multi-flex arm is easy to maneuver underneath those hard to reach areas like your couch, and I really love the attachments because then I can clean other areas around my house. Now, probably my favorite feature of this vacuum is the auto emptying dock. Once you're done vacuuming your house, just put it on the dock and it will auto empty all of the debris into the machine and keep the vacuum charged and ready to go. Now, what's so nice about this is if you've ever emptied a canister before, you know that there's a giant dust cloud all over the place when you do this, and you kind of just make a bigger mess, and this completely prevents that. Now, if you're looking to upgrade your vacuum, definitely check the link down below, and thanks so much again to Shark for sponsoring today's video. Now, the areas that I like to focus on are those high traffic areas throughout the house, like your kitchen, your living room, and even by your entry door, just because dirt and things really start to build up in these areas, and if you leave that sit, it can start to spread throughout the rest of the house. Now, I will say if I have a little extra time that week, I'll add in a few other areas like my bedroom and things. That way, by the end of the week, I have vacuumed the entire house. The next item on the checklist is to pick up clutter. Now, at first that might seem a little broad or maybe even overwhelming, and I'm by no means telling you you have to do that throughout your entire home. You really just want to focus on those main living spaces like your living room and even your bedroom. I know for us, our coffee table in our living room just seems to be a dumping ground for trash, dishes, and all sorts of random stuff. So by taking a few extra minutes every day and picking up everything that doesn't belong in that room and going and putting it away can really help tidy up that space and just make it feel so much cleaner. I know for myself, when there's chaos everywhere in a room and just stuff that doesn't belong there, I just feel like the house is a disaster and a mess, and really it only takes 5 minutes or less to pick that up, and then the whole room feels so much better, and then it's ready the next time you want to use it too. The last item on the checklist is to empty your trash. Now I will say this is the one area throughout your home that is going to get stinky, so by staying on top of that, you prevent those odors from lingering throughout your home. And there you have it. Now you know how to keep your home nice and clean. Now again, if you want to get today's checklist, it's available over at letscleanthatup.com or check the link down in the description. Thanks so much for watching as always, and if you're new here, consider subscribing and smash that like button. I also need to give a huge shout out to the Clean Squad members over on Patreon and here on YouTube memberships. Thanks so much for the support. I really appreciate it. And as always, we'll see you on the next clean.